Welcome to the Champion webinar. We're so excited you joined us today. Today, our subject is the top 3 major fundraising events for schools and boosters. I'd like to introduce to you Don Carmichael. He's our president and CEO. He has over, should I tell them, Don, like 25 years of experience, something ridiculous like that?
Something like that, back in the pre-ball days.
Yeah, back before there was texting and email and everything else, right? No Facebook, no nothing, back in the dark ages. So Don comes to us with lots of experience to talk to us about the top 3 major fundraising events that you should be doing this coming fall. Don, take it away.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining our webinar, and it's always such a delight to have people literally from all over the country and even in parts of Canada joining us on these types of live events. So whether you're watching this live or later in a recorded version, we're just really delighted to be able to share some information with you that we've learned over the years that can really help you raise major funding for your school. As we go through the next short period of time, I want to share lessons from things that we've learned that can directly help you. This is intended to be an informational webinar, an educational webinar. So I'll just get right into the beginning, just as a quick introduction. This is my family, and the reason I'd like to introduce them to you is that we are passionate about Christian education. My wife, Vicki, in the background, has been a Christian school teacher or administrator throughout our 27-year marriage. Our 4 daughters are products of Christian education, and we believe that this is the single greatest investment that we can make in the lives of our children, bar none. And the other reason I wanted to share this with you is just so that you can understand that we are just like you in terms of parents of children in schools, and we believe school and education is extremely important. In terms of introduction, we are a mission-focused company based in Birmingham, Alabama. We bring the experience at this point from conducting over 2,600 major fundraising events throughout the U.S. and Canada. These events have raised over $100 million to date. Champion is considered the industry leader, best in class, and our absolute foundational motivation is that we believe money will impact lives. And our mission as a team, as a company, is to partner with other organizations to help them impact their missions at a greater level through significant funding. Okay, so let's have fun. Opening question. What percentage of your families or your supporters absolutely love fundraising? So think of your school and your school families. What percentage of your families absolutely love fundraising? And I'm about to give you the answer. We've spent years doing statistical analysis and empirical studies, and we've actually determined that the answer to this question is this, 0%. We know very few people who absolutely love fundraising, and that's okay. So one of the challenges you have in raising money for your school is to create a fundraising process that not only works well, but it engages people to do something they don't want to do and hopefully have fun in the process. Let me ask you another question. When you look at your school's current fundraising slate and maybe activities that you've done in the previous years, are your current fundraising activities exciting or stale? And I'd like to suggest to you that if they are stale or neutral, if you don't have a lot of excitement that draws your parents into the fundraising process, then you really should be looking at some other options that could drive the energy level up and make it fun. Because if it's not fun, who really wants to fundraise? Quick outline for our short webinar here, 3 areas. Number 1, perspectives on fundraising and understanding why people give. Number 2, the fundraising model that we use and we've developed. It's really, if you will, part of our crown jewel that I'd like to share with you. And then finally, the top 3 fundraising events that we have found be most effective for schools around the country and in Canada. I'd like to introduce you to, as a way of starting off, to a very small school. This is a school in Birmingham, Alabama called Spring Valley. They have 63 students in the entire school. And they did one of these 3 events that I'll be talking about, which is called Feed the Need, which is really a mission-focused event where students hand-pack 10,000 meals that are then distributed both locally and overseas to very hungry orphans and families in different third world countries. This little school of 63 students raised $154,000 on their first Feed the Need event. How did they do that? Well, I'll show you the process that they use to raise that type of money. And our desire, again, in this webinar, is that this would be educational and helpful to you. So, fundraising perspectives. Number 1, Money is an essential tool for your mission. The more money you have to work with, the greater job you can do in your mission of educating children. Number two, true fundraising is heart-driven. It's not driven only by student competitions and contests and incentives, but it's actually true fundraising is an outflow of a heart that's connected to your mission that makes that person want to be part of the process of helping raise money. Number three, and this is the most important principle in fundraising, people give to people they know. It's really about relationship far more than it is about anything else. So people give to people. Number four, how much those people give depends on their heart. So they're going to give anyway if one of your students or one of your families asks them to give because of relationship. But how much they choose to give depends on how their heart is connected to the child or the process they're doing. You need to make it fun. Who wants to be part of something that's not fun? We talk a lot of times here in our office about fundraising being a lot like going to the dentist. And how many of us really like going to the dentist? Well, very few. So if you make it fun, you're able to take a process that most people find not very fun and not very desirable and actually bring them into the process, and they'll find out it's a lot easier than they thought. And finally, make it meaningful. The way you make it meaningful is you have to connect your fundraising focus to children. It's got to be connected to the lives of the kids and the students that you'll be impacted. So, fundraising perspective. Let me introduce you next to different fundraising events that we see schools doing all over the country. And then I want to hone in on three of these. There's a variety of different events that schools do to raise major dollars. All of these events, except for the live dinner auction, which is the second option you see here on the chart, all of the others have the same fundraising model, or what we call a fundraising engine, which I'll explain in a few minutes. Live dinner auctions are a little different. It's not what we consider one of the top three, but it can be a very significant fundraiser only if your school is in a very solid middle income demographic or higher. If most of your families really struggle to put their children at your school, they don't have the excess fundraising capacity to support a live dinner auction. So, what are the three best major fundraising events that we've seen for school fundraising? Number one, sporting clay events. They're different than golf tournaments. They're better than golf tournaments. They're an event focused on engaging adults. Number two, Feed the Need, which is an indoor mission trip where your students handpack 10,000 meals that are distributed both locally and overseas to hungry children and families. And number three, down here at the bottom, Serve Day, Serve-a-thon. So these are the three events that I want to give you more details on how you can organize them, and then we'll get into the process of how you raise money. So starting first with the fundraising engine, this is the same fundraising process that you can put into literally any event. I would say the one exception would be a live dinner auction. But whatever event gets your families the most excited, that's really what you want to focus on, even if it's not one of the three main events I'm about to share with you. But this is the fundraising model that can take your event to probably unprecedented levels of fundraising success. Each of these squares really represents a different bucket of money. The biggest bucket is the top bucket, which is your participant personal sponsor fundraising that each student and their family goes through. Think of a walkathon. It's like a walkathon where your families contact their friends and families anywhere in the country to financially sponsor them in the event. And the event, whether it's a Serve Day, Serve-a-thon, or Feed the Need, or if it's any of the other events, the event becomes the culminating point of about a 4-week fundraising process where your families are generating money through personal sponsors. Okay, so that's the biggest bucket. In addition to that, you have corporate sponsor opportunities. And the way you get corporate sponsors, it's all about relationships as well. So you want to form a team of very handpicked parents, typically, more moms than dads oftentimes, but these would be men and women who, A, love the school, and B, have a sales personality, and C, ideally, are well-connected in your community. They literally will set up face-to-face appointments, 10-minute appointments to sit down across the desk from the head of the company or the key executive with their company to basically present a corporate sponsorship opportunity to support your school by sponsoring an event. So corporate sponsors. On the right over here is matching funds donors. There's sort of a spectrum line between the left and the right. On the one side, you have corporate sponsors who are willing to listen because of relationship, but they give because of what's in it for them, the benefits of your corporate sponsor benefit package. On the right over here with the matching funds donors, they are not interested in recognition. They usually want to stay anonymous. And their motivation isn't what's in it for me, but their motivation is how can I leverage the money that I have to have a greater leveraged impact in this school that I care about. So if it's a Christian school, they understand that it's not their money, it's God's money that they are the steward over. So they're looking at that decision through that type of a lens. But regardless, they're looking at how I can leverage my money to have a greater mission impact in this school that I care about. So your matching funds donors are going to be typically parents or grandparents who have the capacity to give more significantly. And then in the middle of these three buckets, you have the underwriters bucket. Underwriters are a higher level corporate sponsor. They typically are giving $5,000 or higher. They have dual motivation. Part of that motivation is they want the recognition benefits because they're probably giving that money from their business. The other motivation, and the reason they're giving $5,000 or higher, is they have a heart for your school and the mission of your school. So your underwriters and matching donors both come from generally a small pool of candidates who have the capacity to give big dollars, and they're giving because they have a heart for investing in the mission of your school. Okay, so those are the next three biggest buckets other than the top bucket. The bottom two buckets down here would be generally smaller buckets, your alumni engagement and church engagement. Alumni engagement looks at how you can use a major event to start drawing in a lot of your alumni that may not be well connected to your school. And typically those that are within an hour's drive, you'd be inviting to come participate as a fundraiser, just like your other families. And then church engagement, it may or may not fit with your school, but depending on that, if you feel like it fits, a lot of Christian schools actually have 30 to 50 churches represented in their student bodies. There's some ways that you can engage your churches as well. So just keep in mind, this is the fundraising engine that you can apply that can raise very, very significant money for your school. Okay, let's talk about the three best events for schools. Top three major fundraising events for schools. The best parent event or dad-focused event is, from everything we've seen, is basically a sporting clay shoot. We call them Top Gun Challenge sporting clay shoots. Basically, it's like golf, and I'll show you some pictures here. This is actually a small Christian school in a rural small town in Alabama called Cornerstone Christian School. They couldn't find any golfers because they were rural and didn't fit their culture. So going back to one of the things I shared earlier, you want to make sure that the event you choose to do to engage your families fits the culture of your families. It has to be relevant. So in this particular case with Cornerstone, they don't golf in that community, but they shoot. So we did a sporting clay shoot. Our goal was to find an event that could engage our dads, that would draw them into the process. And so you'll find in most schools that fundraising is conducted by moms with the kids. And a lot of times, most of the times, your dads are not engaged. So we shifted, we helped the school go to a sporting clay shoot. They ended up having 64 shooters. They raised $92,000 using that model we just looked at on the previous slide. And of those shooters, they had 3 women, so it's definitely male-dominated. But one of the women won the whole shoot. The lady in the second picture that has the teal golf shirt and the vest, she beat everybody there and really humiliated a lot of the macho dads with their big, expensive shotguns. And it was really fun, and everybody had a great time. You can barely see the group picture down towards the bottom. But I just wanted to point out there's not a single doctor or lawyer in that picture. This is not a white-collar environment. But yet they were able to raise $92,000 because of the buckets that we looked at on the previous page. And just another example that I think you might enjoy. I know a lot of people get a kick out of this. This is a small 3-person staffed counseling ministry in the rural area of Lancaster County in Pennsylvania. It's Amish country. Up there, they don't golf either, but they do shoot. So this is a clay shoot. This small 3-person ministry raised $106,000 3 years ago on this clay shoot. $128,000 2 years ago and $126,000 this past fall. And just like the other picture down at the bottom, you'll see there's not a single doctor or lawyer in the picture. How can they raise that much money? It's because you involve your families in a process through raising personal sponsors, and people give to people they know. It's about the relationship. And then you tie in those other channels, those other buckets like corporate sponsors and underwriters and matching donors. Just about 5 days ago, this past weekend, from the time that we're doing this webinar, I was in Fort Worth, Texas for a small organization that's very, very small. They have 10 board members and about 20 donors total, no staff. They do work in China. They raised over $100,000 doing a clay shoot as well. And part of that came from a $50,000 matching gift. So going back to that bucket, the matching funds donor, an individual put up $50,000 and the rest raised money against it. And it just shows you how well that process can work for you. Okay, next question before we move to the next two events. How can you create a fundraising event for your school that will actually make a difference in the world? Are there events out there beyond golf and live dinner auctions and clay shoots that actually make a difference? And the answer is yes. And the two best events that we've seen, we call these high impact events or mission focused events. Number one are community serve-a-thons. This is where your students will break up into teams and go out in the community for half a day and do service projects. The other high impact mission focused fundraiser is called Feed the Need events. And everything I've shared with you up to Feed the Need, really, these are all things that you can do on your own. Feed the Need is a little different because it's very complex. They're in terms of the event process. And this is not intended to be a self-promotion at all in terms of this webinar. But I do want to tell you about what we're seeing with Feed the Need because it is very significant. So going to these two events, Serve-a-thons and Feed the Need events. Let's talk about Serve-a-thons for a moment. In a Serve Day Serve-a-thon, your kids will divide up into typically 10 to 15 teams. And you'll go all over the community doing service projects. And the process really connects the hearts of your kids. It's a character building event. They learn lessons of gratitude and selflessness and putting others first and the blessings that come through serving others that are less fortunate. And they gain all of these benefits through being part of the event. You'll also find that your parents are going to be more likely to support a serve-a-thon type of an event because of those benefits to their own child. And you'll also find donors giving a little bit more generously because of those same reasons. So here in this example, a group of kids have been doing landscape projects. The top picture here are actually some high school students in a soup kitchen or rescue mission, and they're preparing a meal for people that will be coming by shortly that are very hungry. Down at the bottom here, you'll see a group of young people painting one of their buildings on their school property. This is one of my favorites, and it's always been sort of a stable favorite of ours as we've seen other schools do this. These are children in a nursing home, and if you look carefully, you can see some nursing home residents in their wheelchairs on the right, and you'll see students on the left. They're singing songs. Typically in a nursing home, your students would be doing things like manicures or pedicures. They'd be sitting down, paired up with a resident and reading stories to them. But it's very, very, very impactful, not just to the residents who have a breath of fresh air and light coming into their nursing home, but it's also very impactful to the young people. One other set of projects you might want to consider if you do a serve-a-thon is getting with area churches and having them give you names of elderly shut-ins that are in the community and going to those homes and letting your older kids do outside projects like landscape or cleanup. Inside, they can be doing things to do basic repairs or clean the kitchen or clean bathrooms, but looking at how you can serve directly in shut-in environments. Okay, so these are Serve Day Serve-a-thons. The other event is what we call Feed the Need, and this is an event that is just really remarkable. It's been the most significant event we've ever been part of in many, many years. And basically, it's an indoor mission trip where your students handpack 10,000 meals that are then distributed both locally into one of 5 third world countries directly into the hands of very hungry children and orphans in those countries. It's set up as an FDA-approved food safety site. Most of the time, this is in a gymnasium or a cafeteria. This is a little girl in Haiti who has received one of those meal packages. The average child in Haiti, by the way, eats only one meal every 2 days. And they have an entire industry in Haiti that makes dirt cookies, literally cookies out of dirt, because kids are so hungry. It's at least something to put in their tummies. And so these are some young boys in Haiti as well. Feed the Need is an indoor event, so it doesn't matter what the weather is like outside. In this particular picture, this is Bend, Oregon, and it's actually snowing outside, and everybody's snug inside, and everything rolls on. There's 4 different sets of ingredients. The meal packages are completely nutritionally balanced. These are meal formulations that dietitians at General Mills actually put together for children with malnutrition. So starting the front box there, you have the brightly colored dehydrated vegetables, brown soy for protein, yellow Vitamix, vitamins and minerals, and then white rice at the very end for carbs and energy. And all of those ingredients go into a funnel. They go from the funnel into a bag. They actually process down the line, get weighed and heat sealed. Beautiful opportunities to pair some of the older kids with little kids, also maybe older people in your school or alumni, also with children. And it's just a really moving experience for everybody. You'll see that even kids as young as 3 years old are able to participate. One of the things we've seen about both Servathons and Feed the Need is that they are extraordinary media appeal events. It's an opportunity many times to get your school on local evening news and have the news cameras actually come out and film it, do interviews, professionally produce it, and then many times you can take that production and put it on your website. These are just some other Feed the Need events from around the country, but it's very, very moving for the kids and for donors. In this example, you'll actually see the foods heading down to destinations of choice in the cargo containers and then being offloaded on site. So,
can I jump in for a second?
You bet, Edna.
Because
Thank you.
I want to tell everybody about my school did this event a couple years ago, or I guess just 2 years ago now. And it was so amazing to me. The teachers would come up to me after this event was over with. Literally, this one teacher, Miss Schaefer, 4th grade, bless her heart, tears in her eyes. And she says, "Why have we been doing walkathons? This was the most amazing spiritual event I've ever been a part of." And she just was so blown away. So it deeply impacts the teachers and the students as well. Just want to share my personal experience there.
No, I appreciate it. And Edna and I talked before the call, and we try to be so careful in these webinars to make sure we're providing really educational content that will help you and not promoting champion. Feed the Need is just that unique event that, because it's so complex in terms of putting it together on the day of event, it's one of the events that we do. But just know it's the most significant event I've ever seen. I mean, we've never seen people with such enthusiasm saying, "I want my child to be part of this," or "I want to give to this." It's a very, very special event. I just couldn't think about it. One of the things we do, this actually is a school that we worked with in a small town called Opelousas, Louisiana. It's a very small town. They actually raised over $200,000 their first year and another $200,000 their second year. And one of the things that's neat about Feed the Need is if you look carefully, you can actually see a bunch of little notes and hand signatures on the banner. And in the Feed the Need event, one of the things your students would do is hand sign a banner that we would then roll up and send down to Haiti or wherever with the food. This particular picture was taken in Haiti. The little girls in the blue dresses are Haitian orphans, and the older ladies are Christian aid workers that deliver the food. So we get these pictures and we send it back to the school. It goes in the yearbook. It can go up on the wall. And it just starts building a culture of world focus, of global focus, impact. We're here to make a difference in the world. And it's just very, very powerful. So Feed the Need, very remarkable. So let me explain just a little bit of detail before we get to the end here, how your participants raise money. That's the big bucket that we saw on the top of the fundraising engine chart. So as I mentioned, it's like a walkathon. Your families will basically contact their friends and family network anywhere in the country. They actually set up a personal personal web page that can be texted or emailed. It's like a GoFundMe page. You can use GoFundMe, by the way, if you wanted to do something like that. And basically, the activity goal is contacting 30 people that you know anywhere in the country saying, "Would you sponsor my family? This is what we're doing in our event to raise money for our school." Fundraising goal is typically around $1,500 per family. In some schools, and by the way, your family, I would recommend let them set their own fundraising goal. You want to really connect their hearts in the process by bringing them together about 5 weeks before your event through a kickoff night, and give your families a chance to set a different goal. We see many families actually setting higher goals, sometimes $2,500, sometimes $5,000, even sometimes $10,000. And I was at an event just about a month ago, and one of the individuals set a personal fundraising goal of $15,000 because his heart was so moved. And just saw this weekend, he ended up raising over $20,000. And so he actually surpassed his own goal. So it's like a walkathon. You set up a personal web page. There's different providers you can find out there that can do that. But the key is how you engage your families to be willing to do that and actually be excited about it. Texting, why is it strategic? Going back to the official statistic, I'm going to give you a quick test. What was the answer to the question about how many of your parents love fundraising? Remember, the answer is 0. So you've got to make it non-painful and non-scary. So texting, we have found, is really one of the best ways to do this because it's, first of all, it's all about relationship, going to people that you have a relationship with. You might find this interesting, but 97% of adults are literally within 3 feet of their cell phone 23 hours a day. So you'll find that you can actually text somebody and get in front of them faster than a phone call, and it's much less scary because you can do it from your couch or from wherever you are. So texting is one of the secrets that we have really tapped into in the last couple of years. And I hope that helps you. Event budgets and cash flow, depending on the budget or the type of event you set, you probably are going to spend somewhere between 30% and 42%. If you do serve-a-thons are very inexpensive events. Feed the Needs are more expensive. Sporting clay shoots are in the middle of those two. But it really depends on the type of event that you do and where you do it and how much you want to put into that. You should also see in this type of fundraising, literally 80% of your money raised in hand in your bank by the day of event. So from a cash flow standpoint, the vast majority of your money will come in before your event. And also from a budgetary standpoint, early donations will cash flow almost your entire fundraising event campaign. So they're very, very smart events from the standpoint of creating energy, excitement, and also being very cash flow friendly. Just a couple things I want to hit on this very briefly as we wrap up. This is a page of benefits from your mission-focused fundraising events. These would be the high-impact events of the Serve-a-thon and Feed the Need. Number one, it connects the heart. It's the heart of your participants, your family members, and your donors. Number two, it creates gratitude in the hearts of your kids because they realize how fortunate they are. Number three, there's the benefit of service. They learn that it's blessed. They're blessed when they can serve people who are less fortunate. Number four is impact. You're helping build a culture in your school that's focusing on impacting your community and maybe even beyond, maybe even one of these overseas countries. Number five, vision. It's something, an event like this can help give a greater vision to your supporters that they can be part of something that's making a difference. Number six, corporate funding. Companies are more likely to give sponsorship money in something like this than a golf tournament. Number seven, media, very attracted to media. Number eight, strong reputational enhancement by doing something that's give back. And we have just a couple of minutes left before we have to wrap up. But Edna, have we had any questions come in on your live chat?
No, not yet. So
okay.
If you have a question, please just go ahead and put it in there, but not yet.
Okay. Well, one of the questions I know that one of our people had was how much time it takes to organize an event like this. Typically, you're looking at about 12 weeks. So, you start the process, and then about 3 months later, 2.5 to 3 months later, you should be able to put together an event very, very successfully. I also know in conversations earlier that another question is in terms of timing of the year, is it better to do a major fundraising event in the spring or in the fall? And the answer is it really, you can do them in either season. They work well throughout the school year. What we found is you do have marginal advantages. So you actually have energy advantages doing an event in the fall versus the spring because you have all the back to school excitement in the first of the year and those things. So, well, at this point, just want to say thank you for joining.
I have one question from Thelma.
Okay, go ahead.
She wants to know how many volunteers an event like this might take.
Very good. Most events take about 6 to 8 volunteers. You can have less if some people wear several hats. A lot of times you can have more. The key is getting the right volunteers, hiring the right people, if you will. Think of it like hiring for a job. You want to get not just who's willing, but who's best fit for that position. And that's a good question, Thelma.
And lastly, how does someone contact us if they have more questions?
Yeah, we'd love to talk to you. You can go to our website, which is champevents.com. You'll see our contact information on that. You also can go back and just look at the emails that gave you the invitation to this, and there's contact information. If you want to contact us directly, we'd love to talk to you. In fact, let me just bring up the last screen here. We do want to offer special offers every time we do a webinar, and this includes for people who are even watching this in a recorded setting. But we would love to talk to you completely free, just things that we've learned over the years, working with other schools that could help you. If you're looking at different options, we can also speak into maybe some of your thoughts on which options make the most sense for you. But you'll see our phone number here, 1-800-490-1959. Just call us. We'd love to help.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy.
All right. Nice being with you. Take care.